Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another week of the Next Level Broadcasting Show. I am Eric Huffman, joined by Jared Stamen and Charles Strahl behind the table this week. Again, we thank you so much for joining us on a Thursday evening. Some bad weather out there tonight. I don't know if you're sitting in the comfort of your home watching us or if you're checking out a JV game and checking in on us while you're there tonight. But again, thank you so much for joining us. We have a jam-packed show this evening. We're going to go through the Week 8 highlights of last week and get our takeaways of what we think about each team going into Week 9. We'll get into some pro sports. I was given an assignment this week. We'll get into that in a little bit. We'll do some expectations for the Wings and the Pistons, and then we'll get into Week 9 as we got one more week in the regular season. Then we'll dip our toes into our snooze to you playoff brackets and see if there's anything intriguing in there. But right now, let's get into our Week 8 highlights. And Jared, you had a fun game with East Jordan and Frankfurt.
Yeah, it was a pretty solid game we got going on. East Jordan was at home against the Frankfurt Panthers, and just to spoil the highlights a little bit, they ended up catching the win there to go, 5-3 on the season, and they're looking to see if Week 9 they can take it home. But when big man behind the camera gets the highlights going, we'll break it down a little bit as we're going to see them here in just a second. Against the Panthers, it was like I said, a pretty dominating game, all levels for East Jordan. They pretty much were in the lead the whole game. But you're going to see a pretty awesome highlight to start off this reel. Personally, was my favorite play of the game here. You're going to see Webb looking to pass the ball, and it ends up going backwards. That's a live ball, and Brady Wilson picks it up, and next thing you know, he's going to be making a house call here. Look, he actually hurdles another defender. He gets all the way in there.
He's become Big Play Brady this year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they've got so many playmakers on this team. It's either Max Beal, Brady Wilson, or Webb. It's one of those three guys breaking multiple tackles into the end zone. Actually, I believe the next highlight here will kind of go in on that as we're going to see, I believe, William Webb up next. Yeah, William Webb here. This is the second East Jordan touchdown, and he would not be denied here. You see him stumbling into the end zone. This kid is just, his contact balance is unreal. Did throw a pick there. That's Xavier Hernandez for the Panthers. Did end up making the one mistake for East Jordan. Pick there. Kind of made the game a little bit closer. Like they might have a chance to get in here. Touchdown right here. And that was just a ball on the money. Got to give a lot of respect to the Panthers in that regard. And then as we're going to see the highlights keep going, East Jordan does end up punching it in again. I believe Max Beal was the ball carrier there. And then, again, Max Beal on the carry, punching it in. Oh, actually, there's 2-point conversion. This time we got him punching it in for real. And then this was another highlight of the game. The sophomore, I can't remember her last name, but that's actually Maggie, one of the sophomores on this team. Well, girl ended up kicking the extra point. This is the first extra point for East Jordan, and it was good. And then this was kind of garbage time touchdown, but I can't remember. It's driving me nuts. I can't remember number 9 for the Panthers, but he had a heck of a game. Easily over 100 receiving yards. East Jordan does win 25-14.
Yeah, we'll give that quick shout out to the female kicker. That is Maggie Schaefer, daughter of one of the greatest delivery drivers on the planet. He does all the deliveries from my house in the store. So nice to see Maggie Schaefer and the female get out there on the football field.
Yeah, and that was, they're 1 for 1 in extra points, so he's got to be a proud papa right there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Jared, for that. And we're going to move on to the game I was at last week. I was down at Glowicki Field in Elk Rapids while the Elks took on the Benzie Central Huskies, coming away with a 42-14 victory, putting up 42 points. The Elks did. I think 40-some points back-to-back weeks. So as we get into the highlights here, we're going to start off the very first play of the game. You're going to see Connor Carlisle get it from about the 2-yard line, and 98 yards later, after he gets through a couple of defenders here, you're going to see him take it to the house for an Elk Rapids touchdown and start out. What a great way to start out that game with a 98-yard return to go up 6-0. And again, it takes him a second to get down there, but eventually he ends up scoring. Nice job, young man.
He did have to cover the whole field there, Eric. So.
Yes, he did. And obviously it's 98 yards in the books, but it's 130 on the body. And so you got a nice run here, pitch and catch from the quarterback to the receiver here to the running back out on the flat for Benzie Central for a score. Make that 6-6. And then you've got Mason Cannon up the middle for a nice long run for a touchdown to put Elk Rapids back up. And you've got the play with here, if we could get Charles to take that back, what happens with this play is you've got a laser being thrown by the quarterback at Benzie Central, and it probably goes 10 yards in a blur and then shoots back probably 10 yards and gets intercepted. as we see it right here. Charles has it keyed up, I believe. It's going to hit him right about the first yardsticks and then bounce back about 10 yards and get intercepted and start heading the other way. So interesting interception there. Really good call by my color guy. I had a guest in the booth. I had the middle school coach, Liberty Provost, in there helping me out for this game. As you got, looks like Braden Flutie going in for a touchdown there for Elk Rapids. And again, Elks pretty much had this game in hand, as you're going to get a fumble return from Benzie Central for a touchdown here. So not, again, besides this big play and the other score, not much coming from Benzie Central. What a great all-around performance in all three phases of the game from Elk Rapids. As we get a couple more highlights here, I believe this is Flutie coming in, I think getting a reception here for a score. And you got Ollie Trammell, I believe, runs in. The sophomore quarterback ends up getting a touchdown as well. As I believe this is off an interception. Well, the score ends up being 42-14, and that puts the Elks at 4-4. And going into the season, you thought they had a chance because of the schedule to have a winning record, and the way the games had gone, you just weren't quite sure if they were going to get it all together. In these last two games, they've really put all three phases of football together, and it looked like a nice-looking football team these last 2 weeks going into their final game, which we'll get into the previews here towards the end of the show. So you get the end result again of 42-14. Great job again on all three phases from the Elks.
Yeah, they've been looking pretty good. I think just Brandon Flutie hitting that kind of running back wide receiver role was great for him, and Ollie Trammell taking the reins. And, hey, Elks looking pretty good at 4-4.
Absolutely. And again, a chance at a winning record. What a great job by the coaching staff and the kids. They're going to graduate a nice core of seniors after this year. Got a shot of the seniors on the side of the field. They're getting some rest before the end of the game, them being able to celebrate a nice effort again by Elk Rapids. So moving on, we had another intriguing game. You had Shane Smith and the boys taking care of Charlevoix and Boyne City. What a really close game. We're going to have Shane Smith take over the highlights for us. Take it away, buddy.
Here takes a snap, looking for a man, finding some pressure.
Sawyer Blazik.
Oh, he
got
there.
it.
Jeez,
Got
by
it.
the
Woo.
shoestring.
Let's
Sawyer
go.
Blazik able to wrap him up. Yes. Take the snap. Get it off to.
Stare it.
Stare it.
Yes, indeed. The 20, the 25,
go.
the 30, 35, 40. Still going past the 50. Works his way around a couple of tacklers and finally brought down inside the 30. Peter Yanchulis is going to go for the field goal attempt. It's up and away, and it is good. The first field goal of the season made by Charlevoix.
Joseph again.
Fumble.
Oh, he does lose it. Raiders get it back. Now here we go. Colin just rolling out.
Got him.
Had all day to
Got
throw. There's Garrison Starrett. Bobbles the catch initially. He catches it. Still going. Raider touchdown. Wow. The pile driving forward, waiting for the official signal, and it is good. Boyne City gets the first score of the game. It'll be a handoff to Hewitt. Finds a hole, and he gets pay dirt for the Ramblers. And they take the lead by 2 at the moment, 12-10. Peter Yanchulis, he knocked one in from about the 22 earlier, much shorter at about the 11. Up and away, and it's good, no problem.
snap,
The
good
Raiders take the lead by a point, 13-12. Little double
Counter,
handoff.
and who's there?
Kalen Titus. Big hit
yeah.
for Kalen.
The Raider crowd on their feet
Come on.
for the biggest play Boyne City's had so far. Fumble sack. Boyne City was able to recover, but it will still be short of the line of gain. Near looking for a man. Finds pressure. There he is. Sack. Sawyer Blazik hauls down on Mr. Near. Gets the sack and pushes the Ramblers back by 5. Big 2 downs here for Boyne City. 3rd and 21 with 64 ticks left to go on this game clock.
play
Down
the-
by 1 point, 13-12. Near looking all around, makes a pass, intercepted.
Timely
Charlotte
step in
comes
front
down
for that
with it.
interception
My
to
goodness,
preserve
Doug
the
Margaret
victory.
with
Wow,
the
a
play
timely
of the
defensive
game.
effort by the defensive
Seals
back
the
there.
victory for Charlevoix.
Wow, and I'm pretty sure he ended up being the player of the game too. I think that's who Shane ultimately gave it to, and it's hard not to be. I mean, this is one of the biggest rivalries, if not the biggest rivalries Charlevoix will have. So trying to win and step up in those big moments, always got to give credit to those guys.
We always bring up the Battle of Lake Charlevoix, no matter which 3 school it is always going to be a good game. Great job, Shane and crew there It's Charlevoix. And so we're going to move on to Tom Clementson and crew. Had Gaylord St. Mary's and Holton. And again, we're going to have Tom take over the highlights for this game.
And just before we head out to the Gaylord St. Mary versus Holton game, the player of the game there for Charlevoix who made that interception was Doug Mordkridge. And what a beautiful play. What a beautiful break on the ball to see that. And got to give credit to the Charlevoix pass rush as well, because they were able to get some pressure on Drew Neer and really force him to break the pocket and try to make those throws on the run. And I think it definitely impacted how much velocity that Neer was able to get on that pass, which allowed Mortgage to undercut it. So, yeah, as you said, Eric, we're going to go ahead and step aside and take a look at the Gaylord St. Mary highlights versus Holton. And we'll send it over to Tom Clementson as he was on the call of this one.
Going to get that little comebacker play, and there's Eli Switalski looking for some room. He's got an angle. If he can get those legs going, he's down there to the 20, 10, 5, touchdown. Opening drive. And it's going to be another passing play. Oh, and McMillan went up for that one. So did Eli Switalski. Put the hit on him and ended up coming down with the ball. Under 5 minutes to go here. O'Connell, again, an option. He finds Grenier, and he's going to just walk into the end zone on that. A little pass over the top, and they take advantage of that aggressive defense, and it's Mark Furman who's going to take it all the way to the house. Just a beautiful play design, and he looks Cameron's way as he gets turned around, and he's got it. The big fella with the touchdown grab. You gotta love it. He's got nothing but wide open space. Plenty of speed if he can get that angle, and they're going to take him down from behind a touchdown-saving tackle. And it's going to be O'Connell now. He's looking for that pitch out, but he'll keep it and dive in for the touchdown. Wait on it in step two. Yeah, good pressure by St. Mary as they tackle him for a huge loss. Jacobson and Grenier. And here we go. Grenier again. He's up the middle, and now he's going to cut back to the outside. He sees the pursuit coming, but he's just going to go ahead and tuck that ball, protect it as he takes it down to just about the 20-yard. Grenier as he takes another one up the middle. Now he's got room, and he's going to roll it into the end zone. Some good blocking up front.
Boy, that sets up an intriguing matchup this next week for the last game of the season, regular season for Gaylord St. Mary's. And again, we'll give that just as a teaser for right now. We'll get into that a little later. But we've got one more game on the docket to go over. Charles and I made the trip down to Thirlby Field to watch Traverse City St. Francis entertain Jackson Lumen Christi. And man, we were in for a treat that game, eh, Charles?
Oh, yeah. I mean, anytime that you see these two teams play on the football field, you always want to make sure that you hold on to your seatbelts, because this one really turned out to be a knockdown, drag-it-out slugfest between the Titans and the Gladiators. And we saw a lot of high-level play here. And, Eric, I think it was one of those games that you just wanted to see. You circled it when the schedule came out, and you saw right there Lumen Christi taking the fight to the Gladiators. And then Wes Lerner was one man on a mission.
And the play setup for that one right there, you don't see the whole play, but the setup for that was really cool.
Another point of emphasis I want to say, Benny Gaston, the quarterback for the Titans,
Absolutely.
14 of 17 on the day for 3 touchdowns, and he also two touchdowns and 1 running.
I think he went 5 for 5 in the first, and the team went 6 for 6 because that touchdown I mentioned was actually a trick play.
Here's the play of the game right here. This is the play of the game, in my opinion, Eric. I mean, you, myself, and Jerry, we were all at this game. Gaston rolling out. He finds Walter, and Walter comes through with this unbelievable one-handed
literally
grab.
pirouetting to turn and get that, I think with his left hand even.
Check this out one more time. Bang.
That's a pro-level snag right there.
Unbelievable grab by Walter. And then the Gladiators do answer back. This is Tyler Thompson on a kickoff return. They were down by 14 points here. 15, and they set this one up inside Lumen Christi Titan territory, but they weren't able to really do anything. This is in the fourth quarter. Braxton Lisinski gets loose through the Titan secondary, scores it. Fortunately, Glads missed the point after attempt, so they were 0 for 2 on their point afters, and then the Titans just with too much offense, putting this one right down the seam to guess who? Wes Lerner again, and the Titans just too much offense and the Gladiators really had a hard time converting on 3rd and 4th down in this game, squandering a couple different opportunities deep within the Titans' territory, and that's why they come out down by 15, 27-12.
But St. Francis had plenty of opportunities to make this score closer. The game was much funner or much closer than the score indicates. But I also want to bring up, we had a very cool guest up in the booth there at halftime for that game as well.
Yeah, we did. We had director of the Traverse City Cherry Capital Airport, Kevin Klein, join us, and I should have had Emma edit that into the highlight package because Kevin is a ball of life and a very fun interview. And just,
what a great time. Yeah.
Just somebody overall who really lives and breathes Northern Michigan, wants things to be successful in Northern Michigan, whether it's high school football, whether it's just making sure that people see and understand what Northern Michigan is really about and what living life in Northern Michigan is really about. And the TVC Cherry Capital Airport really helps us accomplish that at Next Level Broadcasting as well. So with that being in the books, all 5 games, and well, we'll talk a little bit more about what we got coming up on the show, Eric.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to do our one big takeaway, each of us, on each of our 5 schools coming into week 9 and heading into the playoffs. Our one big takeaway, what we think about each team right now. And then we'll get into a little bit of Lions Bucs recap. And then all 3 of us are going to give our top 3 MVP candidates so far into the NFL season. But that's after we take this break. You're watching the Next Level Broadcasting Show. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Klein from TVC Airport. We're proud to help keep you connected to high school sports in Northern Michigan, so you can stay in the game all season long with TVC, your Northern Michigan connection.
Hello, I'm Ryan Beningo, but you might know me for my business, Professional Seamless Gutters, where we specialize in, you guessed it, everything gutters. New installation, replacements, cleaning, leaf guards, rain chains, and much more. But unlike many service providers, when you call Professional Seamless Gutters, you get me, Orion, not some bum intern or call center recording. So when you're contemplating any services regarding the gutters on your home or pole barn, think Professional Seamless Gutters.
Welcome back to the Next Level Broadcasting Show. Right now, we're going to get into our one big takeaway for all 5 schools from Next Level Universe. And Jared, let's start with you. What is your one thing for each school that you could give going into week 9, or what you've seen so far out of them for this season?
Yeah, so we'll start out with my school, East Jordan. For them, they live and die through their big 3, Griffin Boyer, Thomas Mayhew, and Wyatt Dion. If those guys are playing good on the offensive line, the defensive line, they're going to be winning games. If teams can snuff them up, a little bit more of the, see if Max Beal and William Webb can make some magic, because those guys are always going to do that. It's just if those 3, the 3-headed monster, if they're dominant, EJ wins games. For the Gladiators, we'll go the Gladiators next. For them, what I really took away is that their style of offense is pretty good, but when you force them to throw the ball, and Tyler Andrews can throw a nice ball, don't get me wrong, but that's not their MO, and you can feel the uncomfortableness from that. So, they have this week off. We would like to see if Coach Sellers can, try to dial up some more run plays, maybe some quick passes, get Tyler Andrews comfortable throwing the ball. Just because he hasn't been doing it much this year doesn't mean he cannot do it, because he's a pretty darn good baseball player. So he's got the arm for it. And then we'll talk about Charlevoix. Well, they're still undefeated. So right now, my biggest takeaway from Charlevoix is they can win games. Their defense, I don't think, has let more than 13 points up this season. I think that was to Mansalona, if I'm not mistaken. So, they're a really solid team. Is their defense, they live and die through their defense. So, we haven't seen really Kingsley talk about week 9, not getting too much. If they can run up the score or not, we'll see. But defense, really the strong suit for Charlevoix. And see, we've got Elk Rapids next. Ollie Trammell, I kind of mentioned it when Eric was saying, but Ollie Trammell and Brandon Flutie, the switch that they made was just monumental for this offense. Absolutely. I mean, Flutie is a very talented player. He's just maybe not the best quarterback, but you're seeing what he's doing on offense from kind of the gadget wide receiver, running back position. And sophomore Ollie Trammell is showing a lot of future for this Elk Rapids team. And last but not least, for Gaylord St. Mary's, they're just a hard train to stop. I mean, they lost that Week 7 game, but I really think that this offense is just moving along, and I'd like to see. I didn't really learn anything new from them. You know, I think that as long as they're just getting healthier and whatnot, they got a really good shot at making a good run in the playoffs.
Well, thanks, Jared. We're going to move on to my takes on the 5 schools. I'll start with what I guess we call them my school this year, Elk Rapids. I will go big picture. What I see from Elk Rapids is being a complete unit finally. I think I've talked about it since the very first next level show during preseason. Are we going to see the true Elk Rapids Elks? And these last 2 games, we've had all 3 phases come together, and nothing better than just the last game and some of the highlights that you just saw to start the show tonight. So being a complete unit for Elk Rapids is my one take for them. For Traverse City St. Francis, it's health. They now have a week off before they have their first playoff game, and they've got some bumps and bruises. You were rubbing some calves and some hammies there in the last game, so you've got this week to get healthy and start getting yourself right and get ready for your first playoff game. And for Gaylord St. Mary's, I think it's the exact same thing too. Stay healthy. You've got some injuries that you're dealing with too, coming into probably your biggest game of the season, fighting again for the conference title. So, can you stay healthy, fighting for the conference and getting ready for your 8-man playoffs? For East Jordan, what I'd like to see from them is what I finally got from Elk Rapids. We talked about East Jordan being really good at the start of the season, but then we really haven't seen their 3 phases of football that we saw, especially, what was it, Manistee? Was that the first game? Was that where it was?
Yes.
And I couldn't say enough about that game, and I wasn't even there. So to get their 3 phases back in check before to get through this game, which would give them 6 wins and almost guarantee them into the playoffs. Again, that was my take for Charlevoix, or for East Jordan. And for Charlevoix, it's just stay the course. You're undefeated. You have a big game with Kingsley coming up, but you are 1 loss away from potentially not having a home game. So you need to stay the course and make sure you can play tough, play Kingsley tough, either get some good points or get this win and at least get 1 home game going into the playoffs. And now, Charles, if you can give us your takeaway, as I have to clear my throat now.
Okay, well, thanks, Eric and Jared. I think that those are very good points that both of you made in terms of the 5 schools that we each cover. And I see a lot of ball. So what I like to see is that we've got teams that are in playoff contention right now. Elk Rapids, maybe the only one that's on the outside looking in with a 4-4 record. And that's just because Northern Michigan Division 6 is flooded with good, solid football programs. And one of those is Traverse City St. Francis. Eric, you touched on it, health. They've got this week off to heal up those bumps and bruises. What I like about the Gladiators is they've effectively played 2 playoff games in week 7 and 8. They took on the Pontiac Notre Dame Prep Irish in week 7, and then they took on Jackson Lumen Christi Titans in week 8. Those are 2 perennial powers in their respective divisions. Division 5 for Pontiac Notre Dame Prep and Division 6 for Jackson Lumen Christi. So they've effectively been playing in the playoffs now for 2 consecutive weeks. Can they get better, and can they also seem to get all 3 phases of the game ironed out and working as a cohesive unit? Because it seems like one game they'll have their offense really clicking and the defense will be holding them back, and then another game the offense and defense will be going strong, but the special teams unit will be holding them back. So can they get all 3 phases of the game on board to see if they can get the ship righted here as they go into the playoffs? We'll talk about it later, but they will most likely have a week 1 home game in a Division 6 district that looks really juicy for some good football. For Gaylord St. Mary, I think they just need to keep those mental reps that they were banking all season long last week versus Holton. Now it comes time for the Gaylord St. Mary Snowbirds, the youth, to be on full display and for them to grow up right in front of our very own eyes against their biggest challenge all season long tomorrow night versus the Inland Lakes Bulldogs. That'll be a monstrous game for Gaylord St. Mary. If they win the Ski Valley Conference Championship for the first time since 2021. So for Gaylord St. Mary to pull off that upset would be huge and a great boost to their morale heading into the playoffs, in which we'll talk about it later. They would be projected to have a home playoff game as well, week 1 of the playoffs, should things hold true, and we'll talk about that later as well. East Jordan, I think what they want to do is secure home field advantage in the playoffs, and they can do that with most likely a win versus Elk Rapids tomorrow night. Max Beal and Will Webb. And Jared talked about it with Wyatt Dion, also Thomas Mayhew, those guys that East Jordan really relies on to set the tone. A lot of teams have tone setters, and those guys that bring the energy and the enthusiasm and get people around them to play at a higher level. And those tone setters for East Jordan are those 4 players that I named, and they're really going to need to elevate the level of play of the others around them again, so that way they can head into the playoffs with a full head of steam. Next, talking about Elk Rapids. Eric, you touched on it, the youth that has been growing up right before your own eyes this season. Obviously, sophomore quarterback Ali Trammell and the rest of the 7 or 8 sophomores up on that Elk Rapids varsity roster. For them to go out with a winning record at 5-4 clip would be really, really good for their development of that young core nucleus of players they have. Their JV team, I believe, is undefeated right now in Elk Rapids. So you talked with Liberty during the last couple of broadcasts, Eric. I mean, he's been in the trenches with those guys when they were in middle school, and he knows what type of group that Elk Rapids has coming up. So you don't want to thwart the potential development by having a stinker here in Week 9 versus East Jordan. Next, we have Charlevoix. They've got maybe their biggest test of the season right after they had a great game. Charlevoix defense so far hasn't allowed an opponent to score more than 13 points all year, as Jared said. The defense will be tested very much tomorrow night versus Kingsley, and a team that wants to run the ball down your throat. Will the Raider defense be able to stay in their rush lanes and stay disciplined on all the different type of eye candy that the Kingsley Stags want to throw at you from the backfield? All the different types of dealing cards back there that the quarterback is going to do for Kingsley. One man to look out for Kingsley is Colton Goethals, the all-around running back, tight end, fullback, do-it-all player for Kingsley. That's a player that Charlevoix is going to have to keep an eye on if they want to be able to come out with a victory at Rhodes Field. Kingsley, while we're on the subject, is trying to not lose 3 games at home this year. So they lost earlier at home to Gaylord and also to Traverse City St. Francis. So for a Kingsley football program that's very prideful, they want to defend their home turf and not lose a 3rd game on their home field at Rhodes this Week 9 versus Charlevoix. And then, for East Jordan, Elk Rapids, St. Francis, St. Mary, and Charlevoix, those are kind of all of my one. And I just think that overall, if we have 4 teams make the playoffs, I think that'd be great. And then if you're Elk Rapids and you aren't able to make the playoffs, just virtue of the academics and the quantitative assessment of what the playoff point system has, if you go 5-4 and you're able to win versus East Jordan tomorrow night, you've got a lot to build on after a successful winning season.
Those are great insights, Charles. Thank you so much. Right now, we'd like to get into a little Detroit Lions and review the Lions versus the Bucs. The Lions defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday night with a score of 24-9. Lions running back Jahmyr Gibbs had a career night, racking up 218 yards from scrimmage, including an explosive 78-yard touchdown and another score to put the Lions up 21-9. Despite a severely depleted secondary due to injuries and a suspension, the Lions' defense was stellar, holding the high-powered Bucs offense to just 9 points and 251 total yards. They forced multiple turnovers on downs and pressured Baker Mayfield all night. The Buccaneers' offense was out of sync with Mayfield, held to low completion percentage, and the team only managing 1 touchdown, which came on a 22-yard screen pass and hurdle by Tez Johnson. I remember seeing that. The Bucs also suffered a significant loss when star receiver Mike Evans was ruled out early in the game with what was later reported to be a broken collarbone. I think he had a concussion as well. The victory improved the Lions to 5-2, while that keeps the Bucs with 5 wins and now 2 losses. Jared, a couple takes on the Lions-Bucs game.
Well, I just want to clap it up to Kelvin Shepard. I mean, goodness gracious.
Coordinator of the week, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I would even go as far to say coach of the week, Eric. I mean, what he did with the talent disposable to him is, upwards of what kind of reminds me of what Kyle Shanahan's able to do with that Niner squad, because, might as well call them the San Francisco Blue Tents, because that's where pretty much everyone takes a visit there at least once a season. But Calvin Shepard in that defense, I mean, it was Meek Robertson, Rock Ya-Sin, just to name a few guys stepping up there, and they just were balling.
I think there's a new nickname out there that I saw. Instead of the Legion of Doom, I believe they're called the Legion of Whom.
That's a pretty good name. It's my first time hearing that. But, yeah, I just want to say, like, all credit to Kelvin Shepard. And I think the Bucs just a little bit morale.
After we come out of the bye week, man, I got to tell you what. If I'm J.J. McCarthy, I'm rolling that ankle again. I do not want to come into Ford Field and play against the Lions because, like, you just talk about it. If you're J.J. McCarthy, do you want to come in and play versus the Lions, or do you want to wait one more week? Because the Lions will be coming off a bye, most likely getting some key pieces back, be healthy, and, well, you're going literally into the Lions' den as a first-year starting quarterback who's only played, I believe, in 3 total NFL games. I like the Lions with the points when they play Minnesota, needless to say.
And, rumors flying around again, so let me get a quick answer from both of you guys. Do the Lions do anything to go after Max Crosby?
That's actually my first time hearing about this, and I don't really think there's any reason to go do that. He's a huge contractor to be taken on. If you're kind of looking for a defensive end, I actually would go for Trey Hendrickson on my Cincinnati Bengals. I think we should be shopping him. And
Homer.
I think he fits that role a little bit better. He's a little bit cheaper. It's more of a rental for potential Super Bowl year versus Max Crosby is a long-term. And I don't know if your investment is as worth it as Trey Hendrickson would be.
Looking at it from that way, I want to get something where kind of off the discount bin. I'm looking at what the scrap heap of the Miami Dolphins is going to be, and I'm kind of looking at Bradley Chubb.
I was going to say, they got some
So
studs.
you look at somebody like Bradley Chubb, who is the Dolphins are going to be selling off those pieces very, very soon because I don't think they're going to beat the Atlanta Falcons this week. So if the Dolphins have a yard sale, then Bradley Chubb is definitely a piece that I would look for the Lions to potentially look at acquiring. He's got 2 years left on his contract, so maybe Bradley Chubb is that shiny object that the Lions look for.
Well, let's just move into the next segment, which is I want to get your guys', and I'll give mine as well, your top 3 NFL MVPs after Week 7. Jared, let's start with you.
All right, well, I'll start 3-1. I want to give a quick honorable mention to some guy I really wanted to be on this list, but he's just going to be a little bit short. I have him at 5 if we're doing a ranking right now, and that would be JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba. He is by far leading the team, although the league in yards. He's got 190 more than second place, which is my boy, Jamar Chase. He also has by far the highest target share at 45.5%. No one else is even close. Like the second highest is about like 36%, and they're way down the list. So he's the guy on that offense, and on a 5-2 record team, looking pretty good. But for my top 3 list, at number 3, I'm gonna go with the San Francisco 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey. What that guy is doing there. He's the only reason that team is 5-2. Like I said, everyone on their team is injured, especially defensively and offensively. He's got, I think, 517 receiving yards on 52 catches about. So he's averaging about 10 yards a catch. He's also got 3 touchdowns through the air, 3 touchdowns through the ground, and about, 465 rushing yards. So he's almost got 1,000 yards of offense through 7 weeks. It's almost impossible not to at least give that guy some praise. And number 2, I know that I spoke about this with Charles earlier in the week, and he was not a fan of this pick, but I think in some ways I'd even have a number 1, and that would be the New England Patriots quarterback, Drake May. I want to get on that May train. I don't care where it's going. Take me on there first class. He's going absolutely ballistic right now. He's got the league high 75.5% completion percentage. He also, for some of you sports nerds out there, his EPA, expected points added, is second highest in the league behind quarterbacks. The guy who is number 1 in that stat is actually who my number 1 is, which would be Patrick Mahomes. I think it's so hard not to put Patrick Mahomes up there. As you guys might know, as a Cincinnati Bengals fan, I hate him more than pretty much anybody else. He's ruined multiple good seasons for this guy, for my team, and he's a super stud out there, Patrick Mahomes. And if you look at his numbers, he's top 5 in every quarterback category except for completion rate, which is so. He's been throwing it to some not so good guys, but they got Rashee Rice back, and you saw what they did against the Raiders. They manhandled them. It was dominant showing from start to finish, which you should do at home, but they're only picking up. Patrick Mahomes has 18 total touchdowns. He's 14 touchdowns through the air, only 2 picks. Pretty hard to argue. And also, a little thing, just a quick little thing. His value as the NFL MVP is he gets some extra calls. He's the golden boy. NFL wants him to succeed, and I honestly would equate that in the value that he gives to the team. That would be my top 3, Eric. I'd go Patrick Mahomes, Drake May, and CMC at 3.
That's not bad. And I was rather impressed with your one surprise. As I reveal my list, you might find a surprise on there as well. I've got a couple of honorable mentions. We'll throw out there Baker Mayfield as one. Probably would have had him in the top 3 before last week. Doing a great job. And we'll see where he is after maybe being exposed and some key injuries as well. I have Matt Stafford also as an honorable mention. And Stafford is Stafford, put another Stafford year over there on the West Coast. And so he's got to be in my top 5 right now. So my number 3, believe it or not, and ring the bell for Liberty Provost, who is a huge fan, Drake May. I
like it.
Hopping on the May train as well. 75% completion percentage and a 5-2 Patriots team. 2 things I didn't think I'd be saying about a Patriots team this year. So good job by Drake May. My number 2 will be Josh Allen. He continues to put up good numbers, although he's behind Kansas City right now. He's still having a stellar year, so that's why he's at number 2. And man, it hurt me to type these letters today, but my number 1 right now is Patrick Mahomes. High passing yards, 18 total touchdowns, and efficient play once again. I hate to say it, but Mahomes has got to be my leading candidate for MVP after Week 7 of the NFL season. Charles, what about your MVP candidates?
Well, thanks, Eric and Jared. I think those are some very valid points. I also have Patrick Mahomes at number 3, but you already talked about Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to bring back the running back because the running back is back this year in the NFL, baby. Coming in at number 2, we've got Jonathan Taylor leading the NFL in rushing and rushing touchdowns this year. Jonathan Taylor, the Colts offense, they're rejuvenized. Jonathan Taylor's making Daniel Jones look like Tom Brady in his prime. I mean, go look at Daniel Jones' stats and his efficiency metrics. You want to know why he's so efficient? It's because Jonathan Taylor's averaging 99 yards a game on the ground. That's best in the NFL. The reason why the Colts can just turn around and score 30 or 35 points a game is because the dude in the backfield has so much ability, not only running the ball, but catching the ball and versatility, and he's a 3-down back. Jonathan Taylor comes in at number 2 ahead of Patrick Mahomes. And at number 1, and I think Jared already stole a little bit of my thunder here. He had him, I believe, at number 3. I got to go run CMC at number 1. Christian McCaffrey, number 1 in my NFL MVP rankings right now through 7 weeks of the NFL season. Listen, the dude is catching the 3rd most passes throughout the season, only behind Puka Nacua and Jamar Chase, and he's a running back. This is CMC's MVP year, people. Believe it or not, if the 49ers, after having, Jared said, the blue tent Niners, everybody's injured. The only dude that's been healthy has been Christian McCaffrey. He is carrying this team, people. The Niners are 5-2, and he's had 4 straight starts from Mac Jones. That's right, the Mac Jones that got booted out of New England and is now handing him the ball and throwing him the ball. Christian McCaffrey might just be the most valuable player in the last 4 to 5 years if you take out the seasons where he was injured. And right now, he's showcasing I believe he's 29 years old right now, why he is the most valuable player. So my list, Patrick Mahomes, Jonathan Taylor, and then Christian McCaffrey.
Well, you talk about injuries with CMC. Do you think he can make it through the whole season?
Well, do you want to take this, Charles, or I just
You
have
can
a,
start.
I have a
You
little
got
bit
the
of
mic ready.
I have a little bit of an advanced stat for you guys. I was looking, so he actually has the most target NFL snaps he's taken in a Niners uniform at 84%, which is second in his career. 2019 season, the season where he had like 2,500 total yards, he was running about 88% of total snaps. So, he's on the field more than he has been in a Niners uniform, but he's kind of like Charles said, he's had to be because there's no one else really on offense to take that spot. So I hope he stays solid, but with the snaps he's taken, it's definitely more risk for injury, Eric.
Okay, Charles, you got anything to add with that before we go to break?
Yeah, I mean, I think, he's been taking more snaps, obviously, but he's 3rd in the NFL in receiving in terms of total catches. His rushing yards per game is like 66.5 per game. His efficiency is down, but ultimately, you don't have Brock Purdy. What other team in the NFL will be 5-2 playing backup 4 straight games? What other team in the NFL that doesn't have their all-pro tight end, their number 1 wide receiver, and they're just going to load the box and McCaffrey is still doing his thing and he's still able to carry this Niners team? And granted, people say, oh, he's got Kyle Shanahan. Well, he's also got Mac Jones, who people just said, like, oh, this dude is garbage, get him out of New England. Mac Jones. They called him McEnroe Jones because of his anger outbursts. And right now, the only thing that he's outbursting is a bunch of passing yards to Christian McCaffrey. So McCaffrey number 1. And I think if the Niners can get to 12 wins, I don't see how you can make a case that McCaffrey is not the NFL MVP.
Thank you, Charles and Jared. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Gen X gets on a soapbox. I'm just kidding. What's going to happen is I was given an assignment this week. Normally, I get my assignments to set up for the Next Level show, usually about Wednesday or Thursday morning or something like that. We tie everything together. I was given an assignment on Sunday this week. We're going to see if I can save college football. I've got some insight on that, and we're going to get into that after we come back from this break. You stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss it.
With unique gifts, home accessories, wedding items, and so much more. The Lake House on Bridge Street offers so many things to make your home or even your visit to Charlevoix that much more special. When you want beautiful items that reflect Charlevoix the beautiful, stop in or visit them online at thelakehouseCharlevoix.com for your own keepsake and your own personal memory of Charlevoix.
Hi, it's Kevin Klein from TVC Airport. We're proud to help keep you connected to high school sports in Northern Michigan, so you can stay in the game all season long with TVC, your Northern Michigan connection.
And we're back. Thank you for joining us on the Next Level Broadcasting Show. Eric Huffman, Jared Stamen, Charles Strail in studio with you this week. We're going to dive into the elephant in the stadium right now. How do we save college football from itself? The 1-2 punch of name, image, and likeliness, which is long overdue, and the unrestricted transfer portal has turned the sport into free agency musical chairs. It's tough to build a connection with a star player when you know he might be gone to the highest bidder in 11 months. Loyalty seems to be a big word these days, and all the system revamps have left me having more respect for the game to a much simpler time when Michigan and Nebraska actually tied for the national title. We need to recenter the sport around 2 things: team continuity and competitive balance. Here are my key reforms to get the classic college football feel back, keep the money flowing, and stop the chaos. And I'm going to apologize right away because I'm too old to remember all of this, so I do have some of it on paper. So let's start. Number 1, let's establish a 2-tier NIL structure. We need to differentiate between legitimate endorsements and what is essentially pay for play from collectives. Keep it simple. Players can make money from genuine outside endorsements, local car dealerships, national brands, social media deals. This should be unlimited and protected. Institute a hard cap on direct payments tied to a school's collective. So say so much money per athlete per year. This makes it a stipend for being a student athlete, not an auction. The huge money should come from outside NIL, incentivizing players to build their own brand, not just jump to the biggest collective where you get people jumping schools all the time. Let's reinstate the year-end residence for all transfers. The single one-time transfer exception has become a loophole. We need stability. One and done, period, is what I say. A player gets one free transfer without sitting out, which must be used before their sophomore season. This allows them to correct a bad initial choice. Beyond that, you sit. If a player transfers after their sophomore season or a second time, they must sit out one full season. This will dramatically reduce the impulse to enter the portal over minor issues and will prioritize players staying to develop. This brings back some of the loyalty factor that fans like me crave. Let's introduce a transfer fee system. It's pay to play. When a Power 4 school takes a player from another Power 4 school, the acquiring school must pay a preset transfer fee, say such and such money to the player's former school. This fee would be dedicated to supporting Olympic and non-revenue sports at the selling institution. It creates a cost for poaching, which is what they call it these days, helping smaller programs in Olympic sports, which are usually hurt in the current landscape. Let's create a franchise player retention tag. Teams need a way to protect their star players from year-to-year tampering and collective bidding wars. Each program gets the right to designate a player or players as a franchise player before the final 2 years of eligibility. These players are guaranteed a premium NIL deal from the school, a higher protected amount above the new cap, and are ineligible to enter the portal for the following season. It rewards loyalty and allows the school to market the face of their program, and it gives fans a chance to watch their star grow and finish his career in the school colors that you want. I talk about players, that if they don't like it here, well, I'll just go to the next school. Instead of wanting to play for your favorite school, it's where it's show me the money. And last, let's embrace parity with revenue sharing. The final fix to ensure competitive balance isn't just a nostalgic dream. Let's share the wealth. Major conferences like the SEC and the Big Ten, et cetera, they need a mandated small percentage of their total media deal revenue to be shared with other conference schools. This money must be earmarked for non-revenue sports scholarships and facility upgrades, not just football, but the ultimate goal is to narrow the financial gap that makes the transfer portal so enticing for players at non-blue blood schools. It helps everything thrive, not just football. It helps everything thrive. So the truth is, the genie's out of the bottle. Players deserve to be compensated, but we need guardrails. These changes restore a sense of continuity for the fans, discourage mercenary behavior in the portal, and help keep the competitive soul of college football intact. What are your thoughts? Is college football fine where it is? You should let us know. Chime in into the YouTube chat line. Give us your thoughts. Jared, your thoughts on my proposal.
Eric, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head right there. There is just so much I like what you said. I think the biggest thing, one of my favorite points, is the franchise player. I think that's really interesting. I think that adds a whole new element because also, you get the school to keep their star players, and then also they get the money incentive to back it up. So it's just a win-win, essentially, in my eyes.
And that's the nice thing. You get the star players to stay. You give them the reward for staying. The fans are happy that they're staying. And it's just a nice thing in place to create that franchise tag, I think.
Yeah, and also my other thing I really liked that you said was it was the legitimize the NIL. I like, there's a cap. I think the cap needs to happen. I mean, the $12 million man at U of M, that's a little bit ridiculous. I mean, it's not the NFL, as Charles said a couple weeks ago. It's not the NFL light. It's college football, and we got to get back to college football. I mean, Bryce Underwood maybe would have played at U of M either way, but you can't lie that $12 million paycheck did not change his mind just a little bit.
Well, and again, you're wanting to make it a stipend. Say each player gets each player through the school gets $50,000 or $100,000, but there's a cutoff point to where they're not getting that $12 million college deal like some players can get now. You're getting some type of stipend, and the rest of your money comes from building your own self, or like I said, building your brand outside of that aspect.
Yeah, like I said, I think you hit the nail in the coffin. Charles, do you got anything to add?
I agree with the Russian judge. That's my takeaway on this one. I mean, I think that everything that you talked about and alluded to, Eric, is very well thought out. I think what you depicted in the course of 5 minutes, the NCAA hasn't been able to figure out in 3 years. So, what is the future of the sport really going to hold? I don't know. But I think that there are a lot of other people smarter than us, maybe not smarter than you, Eric, because that was really well thought out, that are going to be thinking of this and trying to do it. And that NCAA is going to figure out a way to try to wrangle some money out of this as well. They're going to be taking a percentage of all the NIL paid, getting their cut. However they can get their cut.
Games, I really thought they had a chance at winning that series, but, they got Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, I don't know Malik Beasley's situation. I believe as of now he's still kind of in that free agency weird loop thing. But if they could get him back, that would be super monumental for them. But they got a lot of just minor pieces. Karis LeVert, another guy that they added in the offseason. I think the Pistons have a very good shot at making the playoffs and at least making it to the second round.
Very nice. For the Red Wings, for me, and the Pistons, it's playoffs. I put it down, playoffs, capital letters with 3 exclamation points. It's nothing but the playoffs. We get too hyped up, so we got to take the next step. Well, I'll take it back to the Tigers. They got lucky last year, and everyone expected them